I started training for my first marathon, I thought that meant just running more, but I've learned the hard way through many humbling long runs and an injury and maybe even a little bit of burnout and mental fatigue that's definitely not the case. So here are 7 things I wish someone told me when I first started training for my marathon. If you're training for your first marathon, I was just there. I'm about 3 weeks out, peak week this week, and I've definitely learnt a thing or two. So first tip is run your easy runs easy. I know this is said all over the internet at the moment, but I have to say it and get it out of the way at the start. You have to be running your easy runs easy, not only because it's less fatigue on the body, but also because you're building your aerobic base, so your body becomes more efficient at utilizing oxygen, or at least that's what I've learned so far. So I'm able to handle more volume throughout the week because most of my runs are easy, and then I do 1 or 2 hard runs plus a long run. But definitely, even if you're starting as well, just do a whole bunch of easy runs. So my second tip is about fueling for your long runs. Now, when I first went out on my long runs, I didn't really fuel at all. I just sort of had something to eat beforehand and then went out on the run and didn't take anything with me. And I was always so fatigued at the end of the run. And now, just recently, I did my longest run yet, which is 32 Ks. It's my second longest run of this prep, and I had about 5 gels and a pre-workout snack, whole bunch of carbs the day before, and then I also had an electrolyte drink. So I felt so much better throughout the run, and I actually ended up doing my fastest pace for the last 3 Ks of that run. So I definitely recommend fueling before your run, long run, or even fueling the day before, using your long runs as a bit of a practice run for what your marathon's going to be like, or what you're going to eat for your marathon, and then obviously fuel throughout the run and practice with different gels. Find the brand that works with you. I think the first few times maybe take it on a shorter run, start taking the gels, because I know some people get a little bit of discomfort in their stomach, and it might make you need to go toilet. So practice with different gels, find the ones that work with you. I use the pure gels, and then I use Tailwind electrolytes because I'm in New Zealand, and those seem to be the best combination for me at the moment. But there's heaps on the market, so yeah, try them, practice, and get used to it. So tip number 3, you don't have to smash every run. So I've definitely learnt this a hard way, and it's sort of similar to running your easy runs easy. But I wanted to make it a completely separate tip because this can actually apply to some of your harder runs and your long runs as well. So, so when I first started running about 1.5 years ago, I would run my hard runs and my easy runs, but my hard runs as hard as I could. I didn't really have a pace that I was sticking to. I didn't have a tempo pace. I didn't have an interval pace. And I just went as hard as I could, and I was definitely redlining for most of those, and then it would take me a couple of days to recover. So you don't have to go out and smash it. You're not trying to prove anything on those speed workouts or long runs. You have to just stick to the plan if you have a plan, and you've got to make sure that you can improve by pushing yourself but not overdoing it. So you kind of want to be riding that line, and yes, it just does take a little bit of practice and experience to find that line, and it has taken me a while, and I'm still struggling with this one. Like I said at the start of this tip, I've learned just recently that if you overdo it, you can potentially get an injury, and I've got a little bit of an overuse injury in my knee, just because I've been pushing myself a little bit too much and I went over that line. So you don't have to smash all of your runs. Be sensible with it. Stick to your paces. Stick to your limit. Try to find your limit and don't go over it. So tip number 4, strength training. So I come from a strength training background, so I would have thought that this would be no problem for me, but I was sort of thinking, I'm doing running now, how do I need to do all the strength training? And, it turns out that I have to still be doing my strength training. I have to be, 1, strong enough to be able to handle the loads that I'm putting on my body with this marathon prep. And then 2, the strength training is going to make me a stronger runner. I'm going to be able to be stronger. My muscles are more powerful, they're faster, so that's going to help with my strides and being able to run with good form later in my long runs when I'm getting tired. So yeah, definitely don't skip your strength training. It's so important, and it's made a big difference in my training. It is hard to juggle it because obviously running's a lot of impact on your legs, so your legs are sore majority of the time throughout marathon prep, but you just have to sort of plan your strength training around your runs. And I've heard a lot of people, and this is what I've started to do now, is I'll have a day when I do my hard workouts, so my speed run, and then I'll also do legs on the same day, so it's called a hard day. And then the other days are easy days, so I might do a little bit of an upper body strength session or just some mobility, and then an easy run. And on those easy days, my legs are recovering from those hard days. Sometimes I think if you do speed workout, say on Wednesday, then you did a leg workout on Thursday, then your legs aren't really recovering from the speed run, and then you're just smashing them again with legs on Thursday, and they're just not really getting enough time to recover. So I like to, and I've seen a lot of people with more experience than I do, having hard days, so I'll do my strength training and speed workouts on the same day. But yeah, there's heaps of information out there on what strength exercises you should be doing, so go and search the internet, go and have a look on short form platforms, and then also YouTube as well. Heaps of good stuff out there. So obviously throughout marathon prep you have to be ramping up your volume, so your volume will ramp up as you get sort of closer to the marathon, then you'll do a taper towards the end. But you really have to make sure that you're recovering even with those higher volumes, because if you're not recovering from the higher volume, then you're just going to be digging yourself into the ground. And I just found out recently, I know I said before, I got a little bit of an injury because I just keep going. I didn't have a rest day, or if I had a rest day from running, I'd be on the bike and smashing it on there. So you need to have the rest days to recover from the training, let that training sink in, and then you can go and run again the next day. And sometimes you might have to have an unplanned rest day, especially if your body's really sore. And this is something that I struggle with, and I talked about in my last video, so go check it out. But discipline is also about having rest days, not only just showing up for your run every day, also having rest days and making sure your body's recovering. It's a hard one. It feels like you're being weak, and it feels like you're maybe giving up or not pushing yourself all the time, but you'll actually make a lot of progress from your rest days. And I know with my clients in the gym, they sometimes come back stronger after those deload weeks or rest days. So take your rest days, prioritize your recovery, maybe even over your weekly mileage. But obviously your weekly mileage is really important. I was going to go on to the next tip, but just something I wanted to add in there. For recovery, make sure you're prioritizing your sleep and your eating. I really try to make sure I'm getting 8 hours. It doesn't always happen, especially because we've got 2 little kittens and they're keeping us up all night. But some of you might have kids, but try to prioritize your sleep. Try to get 8 hours, and if you can't do that, maybe you can get a 30-minute nap in during the day or something like that. But yeah, prioritize sleep. That's where your body's recovering from the training that you've been doing, and if you're recovering, then you're going to be getting faster. And then obviously food as well, high protein, and then carbs, replacing those carbs that you use throughout your run. And then also making sure you have a well-rounded diet, mostly whole foods, get all those nutrients in and give your body the best chance to recover from the running that you've been doing. All right, next one. So this is an easy one to do, and especially if you're making content like I am, but also if you're just on Instagram, on Strava, it can be really easy to get caught up in pace. And I know I do as well. I see other people's time and see people who have been running for a less amount of time. They've only been running for maybe 6 months, but they'll have a quicker, easy pace than me. And I think it's just really important to not compare yourself to other people, because everyone has different genetics and they're going to have a different running ability. And if you're just continuously comparing yourself to other people, then you don't feel so good about your running, and your pace doesn't feel like it's good enough. And then you start to run your runs a little bit faster when you shouldn't be, just because you want your pace to look a little bit faster on Strava or something like that. So yeah, that's quite a big one that I think I see a lot of people getting caught up in, where they probably should be running a little bit slower than what they are, but they're just running faster to look good or post a good Strava time. So yeah, don't get too caught up in pace. Maybe base your runs a little bit more off effort and not pace. I like to sort of flick between both, so I'm doing both throughout the run. So I know my easy runs that can be anywhere between 5:30 and 6 minutes, and in the summer even 6 minutes 15 per k. So yeah, it's can fluctuate quite a lot depending on how I feel, and that's exactly it. I'm basing that pace off how I feel. I'm keeping an eye on my heart rate, and I'm going to get a heart rate monitor soon. I keep saying that, but yeah, I keep an eye on my heart rate just to sort of as a guideline, but I know the watch one's not super accurate. So sometimes I'm feeling great, my heart rate's high, so I don't get too stressed about it. And then other times I'm feeling really short of breath and struggling, and my heart rate's quite low. So I take it with a bit of pinch of salt, and don't rely on the heart rate too much. But yeah, don't worry about pace, just focus on how you feel. And tip number 7, it's marathon training is a lot more mental than I thought it would be. You know, a lot of the time I love running, and this is my favorite thing to do at the moment, but there's been so many days where I've just woken up and really not feel like going for a run, especially when things aren't really going your way, or you don't get a good night's sleep, you've got a little injury, or work's hard or stressful or something like that. There's lots of different factors that go on in life, and then you have to go out and push yourself on a run. It can be quite hard and mentally challenging, and then you have to go again and do it the next day. So it is a mental game, but if you can just sort of think about ticking off those days, ticking off the plan, sort of stacking brick by brick, like lots of people are saying at the moment, but it's true. You've just got to get out there and do the run if it's on the plan and you're ready to go. Get out there, do the run. It will pay off in the end, and you'll get an amazing run like I did on the weekend, my 35k long run, where I just felt like I could keep going. And I don't know where that came from, because I've had a rough couple of weeks. I've been a little bit sick, and then I also got a knee injury too. So yeah, it was an awesome run. I didn't expect it, but all that hard work that I've been putting in over the last couple of months have really paid off. So fingers crossed that will carry over to my marathon, but you've just got to keep showing up. It'll be worth it in the end. I'm still learning. I'm definitely not an expert, and like I said before, I've only been running for just over a year and a half, but these are things that I wish I knew when I started, and I wish someone told me. So if you're training for your first marathon, I hope this helps. Let me know below any tips that you have training for your marathon or half marathon or whatever it is. And I have a peak week training vlog that I'm filming this week, so subscribe if you want to follow the journey. But otherwise, thank you for watching.